The first casualty of war is truth, and that applies to the war on drugs. The problem when a war is being waged is that propaganda is in the air, myths flow, truth is censored. With drugs, there's an inherent danger of using the drug, and that can be mitigated with information, with facts, education. People are being denied what they actually do need to keep themselves safe.
This is Dominic Milton Trott. Over the course of 10 years, he self-administered 157 different psychoactive drugs and documented the safety information of each for his book, The Drug User's Bible. It may sound like an extreme exercise, but Trott saw a dangerous lack of guidance on how to use drugs safely, and he says it all started with the war on drugs.
My view is that this is a war on people. War on drugs has to come to an end.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse. In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
It's been nearly 50 years since the start of the war on drugs, and the cost, human and otherwise, have been well documented. Since 1980, the number of Americans arrested for drug possession has tripled, and the US has spent an estimated $1 trillion to incarcerate people with drug-related offenses. But Trott and those advocating for harm reduction believe there's another cost that we've incurred that may not be as explicit, but is just as dangerous, and that's access to accurate safety information about drugs and drug use.
Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell.
When the war on drugs was in its infancy, there was bombardment of propaganda.
This is your brain. This is drugs.
Trott believes that the war on drugs has focused too much on abstinence and not enough on important safety information. With that knowledge gap in mind, Trott set out on his journey of writing his book.
The problem is that people are dying of ignorance. They're dying because they're making fundamental mistakes, which is in itself is actually created by the war on drugs. Harm reduction and safety were of paramount importance, so I was driven to produce the book largely on the basis that it would save lives.
More Americans now die every year from drug overdoses than they do from motor vehicle crashes.
Trott's voice is part of a choir that's advocating for a shift in how we view, regulate, and study drugs for both recreational and medical use. Take cannabis, for example. For a long time, the drug was outlawed in the US. Research touting its medical capabilities and its benign qualities had been ignored by administrations for decades. But as the culture has changed, so have the laws. Cannabis is decriminalized or legalized in 27 states. And the changing legal landscape has also opened the window for serious science to be done around its potential medical benefits. For instance, clinical trials are underway to treat autism with cannabis. And there are similar strides being made for drugs like psilocybin mushrooms and ketamine. But the process has been more of chipping away than a wave of acceptance. Cannabis is still listed as a Schedule I substance. And according to the DEA, Schedule I substances have no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. In the case of cannabis, numerous studies have indicated that to be mostly false.
If the US or any other government was serious about addressing a crisis like that, it would actually think outside its sort of little box of prohibition and war, and actually understand that nobody there is killing themselves on purpose. They're making mistakes and they're doing it because they're ignorant of the facts, of the data. The Drug User's Bible starts to raise the issues that need to be raised. I think it's got potential to save a lot more lives if it's given a fair wind, and it's actually available on social media platforms for a start.
The Drug User's Bible's run-ins with social media platforms have been a case study in why this continues to be such a thorny topic. There are content guidelines and community standards on these platforms for good reason. Trott believes that to be true, but his book has consistently been determined to be drug paraphernalia under these content guidelines. So it's been difficult for Trott to get more people aware of his book and the safety information in it.
Reddit, Instagram banned the account. Facebook quarantined the book's account. I cannot advertise it on Twitter. This isn't drug paraphernalia, it's a book.
And Trott's not the only harm reduction advocate running into these issues. An employee for a company that sells test kits to help people avoid tainted drugs was banned on Facebook for advertising one of these life-saving tests. Overall, it's been a frustrating process for Trott, but he remains cautiously optimistic.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps. Obviously, cannabis is legal in a number of states. The benefits of psychedelics are becoming more widely known, but it's not fast enough.
Thanks for watching. For more dope science content, check out our website and subscribe to Freethink for more videos every week.